The Young and the Restless scoop for Wednesday, October 15th reveals Sharon Newman and Nick Newman will be heartbroken for their son. Also coming up, Claire Newman will tell Kyle Abbott to get lost. Plus, Nate Hastings will ask Victoria Newman out to dinner. Y&R spoilers tease Victoria will walk into Crimson Lights and ask Nate if she can join him. She'll say her nephew Noah Newman was in a car accident in LA last night. Nick and Sharon must be terrified, he'll reply. Nate will ask about Claire, and Victoria will tell him she's on vacation in LA after breaking up with Kyle. I don't have a problem with her being out of town. I have a problem with who she's with, Holden Novak, Victoria will add. Nate will tell her he's not a fan of the guy. Victoria will say she's worried Claire may do something she'll regret. She'll admit she told Kyle where Claire was staying, and he's in LA right now. But it may have been a mistake. Nate will tell her things will work out. They'll discuss their mutual grief over losing Damian Kane and Cole Howard. Later, Victoria will leave a message for Claire, asking her to call. And she'll thank Nate for his positivity. Nate will ask if they can grab dinner sometime. I'd like that, Victoria will reply. Meanwhile, Claire will relax on a rooftop patio in LA as she sips a coffee. Kyle will walk up behind her, carrying a bouquet of flowers, and she will not be happy to see him. What are you doing here? She'll ask. Kyle will say he wanted to see her. He'll add that Harrison Locke had a nightmare about the three of them, and he was worried. He wants you to come back. Kyle will tell her he feels terrible about their fight. I feel like I drove you to make this mistake to come to LA with Holden. But Claire will take offense. You shouldn't have come. I don't want to hear you criticize my decisions, she'll say. I made it clear I need some space, and I need you to respect it. Kyle will tell her it looks like she was out late last night. Honestly, the trip has been spectacular so far. I love LA, she'll quip. Kyle will ask what her plans are for the day. No, Kyle, you don't get to just swoop in and take control, she'll reply. Holden is showing me around town. Go home, Kyle. Take your flowers and leave. Then Holden Novak will come along and see Kyle there. Good morning, he'll say. Kyle will tell him he's interrupting a private conversation. Claire will ask Holden if he can give her a few minutes, and he'll say he'll wait for her in the lobby. What I need is distance from you, she'll tell Kyle. Claire will add his actions are just reinforcing why they shouldn't be together. But he'll say his great love for her has him off balance. Kyle will add he's going to be in LA for a few days, but won't bother her again. After Kyle leaves, Holden will return. He'll say Kyle's obviously devoted to her, and he can understand why. And if she regrets being there with him, he totally gets it. But Claire will put her hand on Holden's shoulder and smile coyly. I'm feeling no regret at all, she'll say. At the hospital, Nick will walk in and find Sharon asleep in a chair. He'll wake her up, and she'll embrace him. Nick will ask where Noah is, and she'll say he's in surgery. He suffered a lot of trauma to his head and his face. Nick will say they'll just have to wait until they hear more. I don't think I can do this. Not again, Sharon will reply, sigh. Nick will tell a weepy Sharon he's going to go find a doctor for some answers. Then a nurse will come in and tell Sharon her son's out of surgery and in recovery. Nick will return, and he'll say the whole thing doesn't seem right. He'll also wonder why Noah was driving all the way out in the canyon. Plus, the last time he talked to him, he seemed a little manic. Finally, the nurse will return and say they can see their son now. So, Nick and Sharon will head to his room. However, once they arrive, Sharon will begin weeping again when she sees her son's head wrapped in bandages. But will Noah get through this? Keep reading The Soap Scoop for Young and the Restless spoilers and news. And make sure to also join our Y&R Facebook group or leave us a reply in our comments section. But if you miss an episode, don't fret. You can watch The Young and the Restless online at cbs.com. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. On The Young and the Restless, Tamara Braun has already made an impact with fans. Sienna's interactions with Holden and Audra have already raised some questions. Badass Sienna, played by Tamara Braun in her debut on The Young and the Restless, is already on the fast track to becoming a fan favorite. Fans are already wondering how many of Audra and Holden's secrets she knows. The scenes today with Holden and Claire were a great introduction to Sienna, and it is easy to see she won't have any problems rattling cages that need to be rattled. Holding her own is something it looks like she is simply born to do. Fans have been quick to comment on her first scenes on the Soap Central message boards. 24KZ76 was the first to comment. Love her already on the show. TB. But who has Holden hurt? Did Audra kill someone, or Holden, and/or both? Sienna invokes the prison word today about Audra. And Holden seems shady as can be, sitting there and talking even more privately to Sienna. I have a bad feeling that something awful is in his past on this. Sienna was making it appear that Holden did something really awful. I hope so. I do not trust him whatsoever, never have. So Claire is a big dummy, trusting this loser to even go away with him and barely know this sneak. I never trusted Holden, not at all. Valued contributor Cloverleaf added, so, if Holden and Audra were in LA together, where were they working? This must have been before Holden hooked up with Damien and started working for Kane. Do I have that right? What was Audra doing in LA? Was she working with Tucker at the time? Holden never worked for Tucker, as far as we know. So how did they meet? What were they doing together? I'm curious if we'll ever find out, or if this will be one of those SLs that is just a tease and then is never mentioned again. Regular writer Zen Master 5 said, as Hennivo02 mentioned, we know Audra was working for Tucker at the time, but Holden? I'm not sure. I thought some music guy tried to take advantage of Audra, and Holden helped her out of that situation. Maybe Holden was involved in the music scene when he was in LA and did know Tucker. We know that Holden and Damien were best friends for the longest time, and Damien knew Audra too. So they all had some kind of affiliation with Tucker in the music scene. I would love it if we knew the history as well, as it would help the story make sense with all the different players. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, October 16th, reveal that Detective Burrow will meet Nick Newman and Sharon Newman while Mariah Copeland gets an alarming visit. Y&R fans know Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. got some disturbing updates on Mariah's actions at her former hotel. Now it's time for Tessa to fill Mariah in on what she learned about Will Hensley and that nearly fatal ordeal. Of course, Mariah may not appreciate the fact that Tessa went digging for answers when she pushed her wife to leave this alone. Tessa's news may cause Mariah to lash out in a big way, especially if Mariah fears Tessa's investigation could lead to danger for their family. If this visit to Mariah's facility turns into a total disaster, you can bet that Tessa will lean on Daniel for support in the aftermath. Daniel has been Tessa's rock through all this and will continue to be there for her in any way she'll let him. Over with Nikki Newman, she'll take charge of a situation. Nikki will feel the need to handle something herself, so it's possible this will involve some Kane Ashby drama, or perhaps pushing for answers about Noah's medical crisis. Speaking of Noah's medical crisis, Sharon and Nick will continue to mull over questions about his car crashing into a ravine. Nick and Sharon don't know who found injured Noah, nor do they know why Noah was traveling in a canyon so far away from his hotel. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sharon and Nick will ultimately encounter an intriguing stranger. It sounds like Nick and Sharon will trade introductions with Detective Burrow, since Matt Cohen will make his debut in the role on Thursday's episode. Detective Burrow might have some troubling info to pass along if he suspects Noah's accident was actually intentional. Roger Howarth will also be playing a mysterious stranger when he makes his upcoming debut, but his role sounds a bit more villainous. Will Detective Burrow investigate Noah's accident and end up pointing the finger at Howarth's character down the road? Sienna Bacall talked about being partners for life with some guy named Mitch, but she acted on edge and couldn't say where he was when Holden Novak asked about him. Mitch could be a factor in this Noah mess, so don't miss all the twists and turns ahead. On The Young and the Restless, Kyle is all set to fly to Los Angeles, find Claire, and sweep her off her feet and away from Holden. Kyle doesn't trust him one bit. In his search, will he somehow end up at Sienna's nightclub? Could she be the one to provide answers for Kyle about Claire's mysterious friend and LA tour guide? On Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Kyle remained determined to fly to LA and track down Claire. Jack and Diane told him he's going overboard in trying to win her back, which he is. Kyle is jealous of Holden and Claire's friendship, but she made it clear that she wants to experience life on her own, away from Genoa City. Kyle should respect her wishes, but maybe his journey to LA won't be a wasted trip after all, now that we've met LA nightclub owner Sienna, who seems to know all about Holden and his past relationships with women. That includes Audra. Sienna made it obvious she does not like her. We can't help wondering whether Audra did something to her personally that rubbed her the wrong way. Sienna has an earthy, outspoken charm. What if Kyle wanders into her club and strikes up a conversation with her? Maybe he will show her a photo of Claire and ask Sienna whether she spotted Claire hanging out at the club with a man. Would Kyle have a photo of Holden to show her? Maybe not. But what if he flashes some cash in exchange for dirt about Holden and his past? Sienna will size up Kyle real fast and figure out he's a rich guy with money to burn. But we can bet she knows Holden's secrets, and for the right price, maybe she will spill them to Kyle. We've got to hand it to Sienna. When Holden's evening with Claire began, he was relaxed and charming. By the time Sienna finished reminding him of Audra and his usual bad taste in women, he looked like he was embarrassed and wanted to run off and hide somewhere. That look on his face said it all. He seemed anxious and worried about what Claire thinks of him now that she's met one of the women from his past. And based on Holden's private conversation with Sienna, it does sound like they had a relationship when he was living in LA. Maybe he cheated on her with Audra. That may well be the reason why Sienna doesn't like her. In any case, it feels like Kyle may have good reason to be suspicious of Holden. Maybe he really is a player, as Kyle keeps insisting. Kyle should really just leave Claire alone, let her live her life, and let her deal with the Holden situation herself. She's a grown woman and can handle herself, as others have told him. He has such a sweet little boy, Harrison, who wants and needs his attention. Most of the time we see Kyle with Harrison on The Young and the Restless, Claire is hanging out with them. We don't see them spend much father-son time together alone. If Kyle really does go to LA, let's hope Sienna is involved in his journey somehow. Her connection to Holden may be the only thing that will make Kyle's trip worthwhile. Maybe she can give him the lowdown on mystery man Holden Novak. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Noah Newman could have some memory loss and wake up thinking he's still with Audra Charles. Is the show gearing up for a romantic twist that'll totally change the game? Now that Lucas Adams is taking over the role of Noah, it's the perfect opportunity for a reset. Y&R seems to be embracing this brand new Noah idea by having him all bandaged up following his car crash. Noah needed surgery on his face and skull, so that'll help explain his new look, and it could set the stage for a partial amnesia story as well. It's clear that Noah has suffered severe head trauma, so some brain damage is definitely possible here. That's something Nick Newman and Sharon Newman have been concerned about, so fans should be worried about it too. What if Noah at least has some memory loss when he awakens? That could lead to Noah's breakup with Ali Ng Yuen, who still seems to be a couple with him based on Sharon's comments in the October 15th episode. There's a chance Noah won't remember Ali at all, so their split could be on the horizon. Noah might lose the most recent years of his life and think he's still an item with Audra instead. Y&R viewers may recall that Noah had a pretty toxic romance with Audra once upon a time, but it was also intense and difficult for them to shake. Audra even miscarried Noah's baby, though she didn't tell him about that until long after they'd broken up. The point is that Noah and Audra have history, which may be revisited following Lucas Adams' debut as a Noah Newman recast. There have been some hints about that in The Young and the Restless spoilers, so what better way to set up Noah and Audra's reunion than to have him think they're still romantically involved? That could easily happen if Noah has a memory loss storyline in the works, so stay tuned for updates on any shocking news to come. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of October 2024 reveal that Claire Newman will double down on danger while Kane Ashby deals with some temptation. Victoria Newman will also take a trip, so there'll be a lot happening on the CBS soap. For starters, Claire will dig her heels in when it comes to the good time she's having with Holden Novak in Los Angeles. Kyle Abbott hears alarm bells whenever Holden is around and will remain in LA for a bit. so it's possible he might come to Claire's rescue if she gets in over her head. Victoria also has concerns about Claire potentially doing something reckless, so she'll follow her daughter to Los Angeles as well. Claire is sure to be annoyed over all these people chasing after her like she's a little girl who can't take care of herself. Victoria may use visiting injured Noah Newman as an excuse, but Claire will likely suspect her mom really wanted to keep tabs on her like Kyle. However, Holden could easily become a danger magnet if he gets pulled into some trouble related to his past with Audra Charles. Regardless, Claire could at least make some impulsive moves in the bedroom if she lets herself get swept up in all this LA magic with Holden. Speaking of impulsive moves in the bedroom, could Kane and Phyllis Summers be on the verge of making some of their own? Phyllis is set to get a surprising new love interest soon and has been growing closer to Kane lately. It won't do Kane's image any favors if he lets passion erupt with Phyllis, but they might surrender to temptation anyway. Lily Winters may have an even bigger problem with Kane if he has a sizzling encounter with Phyllis and she finds out about it. Jealousy could bubble up whether Lily wants to admit it or not. Whatever the case, Y&R spoilers say Lily and the twins won't be forgiving Kane anytime soon, so he might decide to seek some hot comfort with Phyllis. While Sharon Newman and Nick Newman wait for Noah Newman to wake up, they'll try to solve the mystery of his car crash and the weird circumstances surrounding it. Detective Burrow will also seek the truth, so look for him to have some questions for Sienna Bacall and Roger Howarth's character eventually. Back in Genoa City, Billy Abbott will have to decide whether he'll confront Jill Abbott about her investment intentions or keep his mouth shut like Sally Spectra is hoping. No matter how Billy handles this, more challenges should be coming up for Sally and Billy's relationship. Billy and Sally are doing their best to make things work. But how many obstacles can they conquer before they reach their breaking point? The Young and the Restless spoilers say the week of October 20th and 24th will bring more hurdles to tackle for multiple characters, so stay tuned for updates on any big news and heated confrontations. 4 decades after she made her daytime debut, Susan Walters has landed her first Daytime Emmy Award nomination as she finds herself up for the Supporting Actress trophy at the 2025 ceremony. "It feels really nice, because I am aware of the other women in the category," she shares with Soap Opera Digest. "I mean, it sounds cliché, but it's definitely an honor. Everybody on these soaps, nominated or not, it's a hard job, and you have to be good at what you do to survive it. So to be acknowledged for it by other actors is doubly nice. It feels really great." Looking at her competition in the Supporting Actress race, which also includes her Y&R co-star Courtney Hope, gives Walters another perspective on the competition. "One of the things that is kind of funny, though, is I definitely am old enough to be the other women's mothers in the category," she says with a laugh. "So I'm kind of proud that I get to represent the mature crowd. I feel really good that I get to be the representative in our category. Because, honestly, it takes me back to the whole thing about soaps that I love," the actress continues, "that women and men my age are still having stories. We're still having anger and joy and passion and breakups, all the stuff that, of course, in real life you have, but you don't always get to see it on television. And that's what's great about soaps, is that there's drama and life and stories to tell for all the different age groups." Y&R racked up quite a few acting nominations at this year's Daytime Emmys, which Walters thinks are well-deserved. "I feel like there are several people on our show that I am constantly blown away by their work, to the point that I don't watch the monitor in my dressing room because I'd get intimidated," she shares. "I've been doing this for 40-something years, and in those years, I've worked with very few people who could make it through the day here and do as well as a lot of the actors here do." The actress was also excited to finally work opposite fellow Supporting Actress nominee Hope. "I've always been a fan of hers," Walters enthuses, "and I actually got to do several scenes that were really emotional for her. And it was funny because once we finished them, I said to Peter, Bergman, Jack, I'd vote for her. I feel honored just to be in the same category." When it came to selecting scenes for the reel that earned her the Emmy nomination, Walters kept it all in the family. "I did a scene with Kyle and Diane, just kind of about her regrets and about the painful aspects of being a mother and having your child, even an adult child, unhappy with you," she explains. "And then I did 2 scenes with Peter where I was actually unhappy with my husband. Then I did another scene with Peter and Michael, Mealer Kyle. So it didn't really tell a story, but it kind of told a story. It's kind of what Diane had gone through last year. The actress is also keeping the daytime Emmys in the family because her husband, Lyndon Ashby, is also up for a trophy in the guest performance category. But when word of their nominations broke, she wasn't at home to hear the happy news alongside her spouse. "I was actually on my bike on a mountain bike trail," Walters reports, "and service in the canyons kind of goes in and out. So I was getting a lot of calls and texts, and then I had to make it to a spot where I could communicate with people. So it was a good ride. It was a very good ride." Emmy night will also be a family affair, as Walters and Ashby are each taking one of their adult daughters, Grace and Savannah, as their dates to the ceremony. While that's squared away, her outfit remained a mystery at the time of this interview. "I've spent more time shopping for dresses online with my daughters," she says. "I had something else that I was going to wear, because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, I really like this dress, and I thought I'll be Lyndon's date because I am pretty sure he'll get nominated next year. I bought it several months ago, and then, since I got nominated, I'm like, well, maybe I should wear something that's a little more me, since the evening's also for me." Whatever happens on the big night, Walters says, "I was just really happy to be nominated. I truly feel like the buck stops there, and that's okay. That was kind of my goal. In the back of my mind, it was like, wouldn't it be nice if I got nominated? I'd never gone as far as thinking of winning something like that. So I've already won." Young and the Restless looks at Kyle Abbott as he ready to take off to LA since he finally shook the location of where Claire Grace Newman is staying out of her mom. But when Kyle doesn't get his way with Claire, I suspect he might spiral totally out of control. We're going to talk about what might happen once Kyle gets a harsh and final rejection from Claire. Once Kyle decided he was definitely going to go to Los Angeles to win back Claire, he ran to Victoria Newman for info. At first, she refused, but then Claire's mom finally relented and told Kyle where Claire was staying so he could find her in LA. Even worse, Kyle has now promised his son Harrison Locke that he will bring Claire back to them. But I really doubt things are going to go the way Kyle is saying they will, or the way he's hoping they will. I suspect everything gets worse once Claire slams the door on their future. This week, Kyle tells his parents, Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins, he's leaving for LA. Even though Harrison begged his dad not to go, and then begged to go along, in the end, the little boy relented when Kyle said that he'd get Claire to come home to them. Kyle's making promises to his young son that he shouldn't be making. That means we're going to see Harrison's heart broken if Kyle can't change Claire's mind. And I think we all know how that's going to go. Kyle's stance is that he needs to bring Claire home and save her from Holden Novak, the playboy. But Jack and Diane both warned Kyle that Claire might be right where she wants to be, and that she knows exactly who Holden is and what she's doing. This reminds me of when Jack and Diane tried to talk Kyle out of proposing to Claire, but Kyle didn't listen. Jack and Diane were right back then, and once again, they're right now. Claire knows exactly what she's doing and who she's with. She's not a victim of Holden's. In fact, Claire's thrilled to be in LA with Holden. She's being flirty and seems just as into him as he is into her. Things are going to intensify between Claire and Holden this week. Kyle comes to California as a man on a mission. He promised his son Harrison he'd bring Claire home and make things right again, but that outcome isn't in Kyle's control. He's kind of being a bad parent by making vows like this to Harrison that he can't fulfill. Nothing about this situation indicates his plan will work. When he shows up in LA this week, Claire's likely to be angry and outraged. She's told Kyle time and again to give her space, to let her breathe and process. But last time, he didn't listen, and instead, he proposed. That's when Claire broke up with him. Now Kyle has followed her out of state, repeating the same mistake all over again. Claire already broke up with Kyle, so I think she's going to have to make it a nuclear, scorched earth breakup this time. Something there's no coming back from. The kind of moment where Claire says, "Lose my number. Never talk to me again." I also bet Kyle tries to manipulate Claire by name-dropping Harrison, hoping to leverage her affection for the boy. But I think Claire will say she'll happily stay in Harrison's life, just not Kyle's, because he's out of control. Once she tells Kyle to leave LA and leave her alone, I suspect he'll come completely unglued. Once Kyle returns to Genoa City and has to tell Jack, Diane, and Harrison that Claire rejected him once and for all, he may start to spiral downward. Here's what could be next for him after realizing he's pushed Claire away for good on Young and the Restless. First, Kyle may start screwing up his job at Jabot. He already has a track record of this, slacking off, making little mistakes that get worse over time. Diane mentioned that he missed a meeting, and we'll likely see more of that. Jack and Diane already had to fire him once before when he was spiraling and undermining his mother on the job. They might have to show some tough love again, maybe even fire him a second time. Second, we could see Kyle boozing more. In fact, he already started. Jack called him out for swilling whiskey and starting a public scene with Audra Charles at the Jazz Lounge. It was bad. People stared. It was a spectacle. That was weeks ago, and Jack had to haul him away and sober him up. Given the Abbott family's history with addiction, this could escalate fast. Third, we might see Kyle crawling into bed with Audra. Both are at rock bottom, and while they despise each other, that kind of animosity often flips into passion. If that happens, it could be explosive. News and messy, especially if Audra winds up pregnant. That would send shockwaves through Genoa City. Fourth, Kyle could go off the rails and target Victor Newman. He blames Victor and Audra for everything that's gone wrong with Claire. Don't be surprised if Kyle teams up with Phyllis Summers, Kane Ashby, or maybe even Billy Abbott to take Victor down. Even though Billy promised Sally Spectra he was done with revenge, he might be tempted to help Kyle go after the mustache. Finally, Kyle's parenting could start to slip. Harrison will be crushed when Claire doesn't come back with his dad. Kyle might lash out if the boy gets upset, and that could cost him dearly. If he can't get it together, Summer Newman might swoop in and take Harrison to Italy, or Jack and Diane might step in, keeping their grandson close, but asking Kyle to move out until he gets his act together. We'll see how it all goes, but it looks like Claire will reject Kyle once and for all, and from there, things will spiral wildly out of control. Eileen Davidson popped on the daytime scene in 1982. During her 4-decade career, she dominated 2 soaps, The Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives. Daytime fans know her as Ashley Abbott, Kristen DeMera, and Susan Banks. However, her nomination for the 2025 Daytime Emmys comes from her role in Genoa City. Eileen Davidson has experienced it all in daytime television. Over the course of 40 years, she has played several roles, many of them related. This time, though, Davidson is recognized for her storyline as Ashley Abbott on Y&R. Ashley was dealt a harsh blow in 2024 when she battled DID after her relationship with Tucker blew up, and she suffered a flashback to a 2003 car accident, which caused the death of her unborn baby. Davidson took time to build Ashley's alters, ensuring they were distinctly different from her leading role. The Y&R writers worked to play on Ashley's mental health issues, choosing the DI'd route. Her alters were created to protect her, with their plan to kill Tucker #1 on the agenda. The 3 personalities were Ash, Belle, and Ms. Abbott. Davidson had to create a distinction between all, and she did. Belle had a southern touch, but enjoyed flirting and being incredibly free. Ash was the teenager who thought and acted like a teenager, and Ms. Abbott was the protector and somewhat of a femme fatale. Davidson played the roles beautifully and, coupled with the complexities of what happened, earned herself an Emmy nod. This isn't Eileen Davidson's first brush with the Daytime Emmy Awards. She was first nominated in 1998 for the Lead Actress category for her work on Days. Davidson received a second nomination in 2003 for her portrayal of Ashley Abbott. In 2014, Davidson won the Daytime Emmy for Days. It was her first win and 3rd nomination. 4 years later, in 2018, Davidson took home another Daytime Emmy, this time for her role on Y&R. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, October 15th, reveal that Sharon Newman and Nick Newman will receive a stunning Noah Newman update while Claire Newman's plan gets derailed. In Los Angeles, Claire will continue to have a blast with Holden Novak and try to embrace living in the moment. This is Claire's chance to live life on her own terms and break free from the Kyle Abbott drama that's been holding her back. However, Y&R fans can expect Claire's plan to hit a big snag on Wednesday's show. That may be due to Kyle's decision to fly to LA with a reunion goal, since he's indeed hoping to fix things between them. Of course, some danger could also be brewing for Claire, based on Harrison Abbott's unsettling dream and all the hints about Holden being bad news. Holden jokingly suggested that getting to know him could be scary, but there may be some truth to that. As for Victoria Newman, she'll get some support from Nate Hastings on Wednesday's episode. Victoria will open up to Nate about some of her concerns regarding Claire, Kyle, and Holden, so he'll console her and offer advice. Victoria will eventually head to Los Angeles and butt in Claire's life next, so Claire had better get used to all the meddling. In the meantime, Nick will make it to the hospital, where he'll comfort Sharon over Noah's severe injuries. Both Nick and Sharon will have plenty of questions, but they won't get all the answers they're looking for just yet. Sharon and Nick will at least get some stunning updates regarding Noah, so that could involve his dire condition or perhaps the strange circumstances of his car crash. Since Noah's return is kicking off a major mystery, there's bound to be much more to the story when it comes to this accident, and who truly set it in motion. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that a night out in Los Angeles is about to unravel a web of secrets that could tear a couple apart. When Holden takes Claire to a familiar downtown club, the atmosphere is immediately charged with a hidden history. The way the owner greets him and the shadows in the corners suggest Holden wasn't just a guest here. He was part of its very fabric. The tension skyrockets with the arrival of Sienna, an old acquaintance whose eyes hold a history book of Holden's past. Holden introduces her as a good friend, a phrase that sounds more like a warning than a welcome. Sienna, unimpressed, immediately drops a bombshell name that hangs in the air like smoke: Audra Charles. The name is a key rattling in a lock, and Claire knows it's about to open a door Holden wanted to keep sealed forever. Her suspicions confirmed, Claire follows an invisible pull down a hallway, where she overhears a hushed, heated exchange between Holden and Sienna. "How long are you going to hide it from her?" Sienna challenges. "This place isn't just a memory, it's a safe, and you know who has the key." In that moment, the pieces click into place for Claire. The club was a front, a transit station for secret deals, and Holden and Audra were at the center of it all. Choosing confrontation over silence, Claire corners Sienna and demands the truth. Sienna, recognizing the look of a woman who has already glimpsed the abyss, doesn't hold back. "This place used to be a chessboard," she explains. "Audra played, Holden moved. Years ago." A large sum of money was moved through the club to make someone's problems disappear. Audra and Holden were accomplices, each holding a key to the transaction, binding them together in a secret that has haunted Holden ever since. Armed with this partial truth, Claire confronts Holden on the club's steps. "You lied," she states, her voice firm. Cornered, Holden finally cracks, admitting his fear. Not that Claire would leave him, but that she would see him as the man he used to be. But a beautiful confession isn't enough. Claire issues a stark ultimatum. "Tomorrow, you tell me everything. No holding back. If not, we're done." The next day, in the stark light of a cafe, Holden lays his past bare. He confesses to a deal made with Audra to save a friend from legal ruin. He was the one who moved the money. Audra was the one who held the information that made it possible. Their connection wasn't love, but a partnership built on power and complicity. "I thought I was saving someone," Holden concludes. "But I was just putting on a collar." Audra held the other end. Yes, Claire listens without judgment, but her response is not one of simple forgiveness. She sees the bigger picture. The truth between them can't exist if Audra still holds a key to a locked door in their lives. "I don't need you to be innocent," she tells him. "I need you to be brave." She makes it clear that for them to have a future, he must face Audra and sever the ties that bind him to his past. Later that night, Holden makes the call. With Claire listening silently in the same room, he ends his connection to Audra. His hands tremble, not from fear of Audra's retaliation, but from the relief of finally dropping a weight he has carried for years. But in Genoa City, cutting ties is never clean. Has Holden truly freed himself, or has he just declared war on a woman who never leaves the game, but simply changes her seat at the table? His quest for redemption has just begun, and the price of his freedom may be higher than he ever imagined. Holden brought Claire to the hottest place in Los Angeles. On The Young and the Restless, October 14th, his past came back to haunt him. He ran into Sienna, who seemed to have dirt on Holden. Holden pulled out all the stops on his trip to LA with Claire. He brought her to only the best spots. One of those stops included a nightclub owned by Sienna Bacall. Her appearance almost made him crawl under the table. Sienna mentioned that Holden was quite a troublemaker back in the day. She even dropped a name that made him nearly choke on his Vesper, Audra. Claire was intrigued and wanted to learn more about Holden's past. He's been holding out on it up to this point. Holden told Sienna that Audra should be left in his past, where he'd like to forget what happened. He wanted to focus on showing Claire the best that LA has to offer. He warned Sienna not to make him regret his decision by bringing up his past. So, she flattered them by sending them the next round of drinks on her. When Claire left the table, Sienna asked Holden if she scared her off. Holden warned her about bringing up Audra. It's bad enough that Claire and Audra have issues with one another. Meanwhile, Sienna claimed that Claire didn't fit Holden's usual type. She looks too innocent. However, Holden claimed that Claire is smart and unpredictable, just like her. What's even more interesting is what Sienna told Claire when she returned. She warned her not to take anyone's crap and not to let anyone step on her. Claire was intrigued and wondered if this had something to do with Holden. What kind of dirt does Sienna have on Holden and Audra? Does she know what kind of trouble they got into during their time in LA? Holden and Audra supposedly committed a crime when they were involved. Sienna could have been a witness, or maybe she was involved in some way. As she warned Holden, the past never stays in the past. The Young and the Restless star, Sharon Case, is nominated for her second lead actress Daytime Emmy. Her incredible 2024 work was enough to earn her a nomination this year. However, she has tough competition from her co-stars, as well as two General Hospital leading ladies. 2024 was a phenomenon year for Case, with her 30th anniversary on Y&R. The actress was front and center in a huge storyline which had Sharon spiraling out of control. Sharon's life was turned upside down when hallucinations of Cameron urged her to seek revenge on Daniel. Things worsened when Sharon believed she killed Heather during a blackout and dumped her body in a river. As Sharon struggled with her guilt and the prospect of prison, little did she know a dastardly duo was responsible for her problems. Case's gripping performance of Sharon's descent earned her a nomination for lead actress. Although she's a fan favorite to win, she has tough competition. Her Y&R co-stars Eileen Davidson, Melissa Claire Egan, and Michelle Stafford are also nominated, as well as GH actresses Nancy Lee Grahn and Laura Wright. All the ladies did incredible work, and as Case told TV Insider, it's a very, very strong year. The star calls her fellow nominees strong actresses who had big storylines. With the competition tough this year, it's anybody's game come Daytime Emmy night. For Case, just being nominated is enough for her. It makes us all feel all the more grateful and honored you were part of this. It makes being nominated all that really matters, because that's the prize right there, especially with the category loaded like this. Case has been nominated for 7 Daytime Emmys, 2 for Younger Actress, 2 for Lead Actress, and 3 for Supporting Actress. She took home the award for Supporting Actress in 1999, her only Daytime Emmy win to date. Loyal Sharon fans feel the actress is long overdue for another win, and this might be her year. She gave an emotional performance in 24, and she's one of the leading contenders for this year's race. Could 2025 finally see Case add another Daytime Emmy to her mantle? Heather Hill, a former director of The Young and the Restless, has died. She was 85. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Hill died at her home in Las Vegas on Friday, October 10th. No cause of death has been announced. Hill won 6 Daytime Emmys for her work as a director on Y&R. She shared 3 wins and 1 nomination with her husband, Randall Hill, a former YNIR stage manager. Hill was born in Rye, New York, and graduated from Rye Country Day School before beginning her professional TV career. She worked as a production assistant on Love of Life, and then became an assistant director and later a director on the CBS soap opera. In New York, she also directed the serials Love is a Many-Splendored Thing, As the World Turns, and Search for Tomorrow. In 1985, Hill moved to Los Angeles and became a contract member of the Y&R directing team. She also directed General Hospital and Baywatch. Hill directed numerous Y&R episodes, including the one in which Dr. Stephen Lasseter succumbed to injuries he sustained after a patient shot him. Ironically, Hill had also directed the Search episode in which Aronce's character, Travis Sentil, passed away. While directors can be found behind the cameras, Hill was elected twice to appear on camera at the Daytime Emmys in 1989 and 96. She served as spokesperson for the show's directing team after the team won the coveted statuette. First of all, I'd like to say that Justin Gok stole all our moves coming up here before, Hill deadpanned at the 1989 awards, referring to the Santa Barbara actor who played Brandon and had won for Outstanding Juvenile Male in a drama series E! Earlier in the broadcast. Gok had leaped up to the stage with the boundless enthusiasm that only youngsters can. "We're just as exuberant, but a little older," Hill quipped. She went on to thank Bill Bell, the show's creator, and then senior executive producer and head writer, along with other producers and the wonderful cast, the great crew, and the entire staff of The Young and the Restless. Additionally, Hill served as a supervising producer on the short-lived syndicated soap opera, The Caitlyns, which ran from 1982 to 85. During Hill's tenure as a director at Y&R, the show's storylines included Brad Carlton being held captive by his deranged ex-wife, Lisa Mansfield, in a cage, the George Rollins murder mystery, the introduction of Neil Winters and Drusilla E., and numerous other stories. In addition to her husband, Hill is survived by her sons, Tim and Chris, daughter-in-law Debbie, and grandchildren Violet, Quinn, and Carter.